Watching Worldview Tube, a Brannon House television network.
The Tamara Scott Show. Tamara has served as the state director for one of America's largest pro-life, pro-family public policy organizations. In 2007, Tamara was named one of America's top 10 most influential kingmakers by the Religion News Association. Tamara has spent years proclaiming and defending the values of a Christian worldview that is the foundation of our constitutional republic. And now, here is your host, Tamara Scott.
Hey everybody, welcome. I am Tamara Scott. This is the Tamara Scott Show, where we help you live God's Word in today's world when the headlines hit home. Why? We want you to be aware. We want you to know what's happening around you, but we don't want you to be fearful either. We don't want you to be distracted for the plan God has for you. He has a plan and a destiny for you. And so we show you all of these things. We talk about all of these things so you can best know how to guide your family through them. So if he expects you to live through it, he's directed you how to do it somewhere in his word. And if we can give you a little help along the way, we enjoy doing that as well. I'm not going to read from headlines today because we're going to discuss several of the issues that are in the headlines. Although I'm very grateful to my guest. We are talking about Father's Day as well coming up in a week. And we've already started that talk as well with the Dr. Canfield and Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield. And that, what a great duo, those two. And then Friday, if you'll join us, we have a couple more talking about just briefly about their father. And then we can talk about it today too, if our guest wants to, but we're going to get back to some of the issues we want to talk about as well. Joining me today is someone I always look forward to hearing from, and I think many of you the same. Always great information, trustworthy, credible, and can present it in such a great way. So our guest is Dennis Behrend. He is the contributor. Well, you were the former, as a publisher of the New American?
Former publisher of the New American, that's correct.
Yeah. And then you studied history, biology, education at Ripon College. And am I saying that right? Ripon College?
Ripon.
Ripon?
Yep. Ripon College.
That's Wisconsin.
That is in Wisconsin, yes.
All right. Studied theology at St. Norbert College and worked for a decade as a research librarian, knowledge management specialist in the specialty chemicals industry, which is also interesting and plays into some of your expertise, I think. And you previously served as a managing editor and senior editor for and publisher for the New American. All right. So you also now have a wonderful website called, and I've got it on here, the AmericanDailyHerald.com, AmericanDailyHerald.com.
American Daily Herald, and I apologize for it being slow to take off, but we are building infrastructure around that, and we're hoping for many good things as we move forward. And it's just a small operation for us right now, and it's restarting something that we had done years ago when it was a bigger operation years ago, and we're hoping to make it bigger and better as we go on, especially leading into the next presidential election cycle. So hopefully everyone sticks with me while we're patiently building out some future growth there, I think.
Well, there's a little teaser for the next presidential cycle. So there we go. And my friend, if you're going to write about the presidential cycle, you're not too far away in Wisconsin. You're going to have to come down to First in the Nation, Iowa.
That's right. We're right there next door.
In fact, this fall,
That's
Senator
right.
Kennedy, who was, at the Republican National Committee, I helped found or bring into being the GOP we called it the Faith Advisory Board. I named it because I wanted to be the FAB chair. I liked the acronym, Faith Advisory Board. I wanted something quick, on your acronym. So Faith Advisory Board, and the White House has kind of taken that title over. I've now handed it to a national committee man out of Texas to run, and he calls it the Faith Engagement, but I still get to be the prayer chair. And John Kennedy, U.S. Senator from Louisiana, was on our call last night. And I don't know about you, but he makes Senate hearings fun to listen to, right?
He does.
And I feel like all these little sayings, I've told the group there in Louisiana, they need to do a fundraiser and a book of all his little clips and sayings. But his sayings need to be on coffee cups and calendars. But anyway, he's going to be here in the fall. for an event. So
Oh.
I'll tell you about it because you wouldn't be you should drive out. You should just go.
My wife and I would love to come there if there's an event with John Kennedy. He is fabulous. We just love him. He's wonderful to listen to, a great speaker, and he's so, he's so well informed on everything, but he puts things in such unique ways. I think he gets his points across more effectively than almost anyone else. It's always a treasure to listen to him.
Right. And last night he was, we're used to that kind of that smart, fun sense of humor. Last night he was very humble, very kind, and wow, it was just good to see his heart, right? Just the quiet John Kennedy. It was just a great call. For everybody who wants information on that call, you can email me at theTamaraScottShow@gmail.com. But we put it on Facebook. I put it on the RNC. I think they put it on social media. It's always the second Tuesday of each month. It's always at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And once you get the phone number and the passcode, it's always the same there as well. So we'll keep you in mind. September, I think it's the 19th.
Okay.
So mark it on your
Great. I will mark it down.
And the fair. You need to come to the fair because let's see, this is 26, 27 is when the fair is really going to heat up as far as candidates coming through. So you'll have to keep that's a good one for you to come down to. All right. So if I were to give this a topic or a title today, I would call it ticks, data centers, and trials, murder trials, right? All three are either shedding blood or sucking blood.
Well put. They certainly are.
Data resources may be sucking the lifeblood out of communities, or sucking resources out of communities might be a better way to say it, but that would be my fun title. All right, where do you want to head first of those three?
Well, maybe we should start with the eight-legged critters that are biting everyone across the Midwest on the East Coast, because I know a lot of people are interested in that because it's hurting a lot of people.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to find my links on this because the first link, I think I put them on here. The first link I put on was one where I think I had to put on my tinfoil tiara. I would never wear a tinfoil hat, but I do have from one of our viewers a beautiful tinfoil tiara, which I actually kind of really like.
That's pretty nice.
Isn't that nice? It's actually quite lovely. I'm going to step over here. So, when we first started talking about this, it was conspiracy, conspiracy, conspiracy. People were finding boxes of ticks out on their fields. They said they were being dropped from planes. And so I think it's link 6, Thomas, if you want to go to that, maybe it's not worth it. But now they're saying, and there was another drug company that just happened to have a vaccine coming out for one of the things that they said was alpha gal syndrome, AGS, and or another one for maybe another disease. So we were just told it's no, it's all conspiracy theory. Then I believe somebody interviewed Gates. Tell me what you heard on this. And Gates said, we are not doing that. We are not engineering ticks other than, so we're not doing that other than those ticks that we did do that to. And apparently those were in Africa somewhere years ago. I don't know. The article you sent had a lot more background onto what we've been doing in engineering ticks. And I do have one more.
It's not a new phenomenon, that's for sure.
Okay, so let me play one more and then I'll just let you roll. This is number 7, Thomas. This is from PubMed, right? PubMed. Because when I posted one of those, somebody tried to nail me about, blah, blah, blah. And someone in the medical field sent me this from PubMed. And so in it, it says, we argue that if eating meat is morally impermissible, then efforts to prevent the spread of tick-borne AGS are also morally impermissible. So basically, basically what they're saying, if it prevents the world from becoming a significantly worse place, doesn't violate anyone's rights, which I think it does, promotes virtuous action. So that we would not be, we're talking about the alpha gal syndrome, which causes allergy reactions to red meat. So people would quit being carnivores, basically. They would quit eating red meat. They're saying this promotes a virtuous action in character. Then Xing was what they say is strongly pro-tanto obligatory, promoting tick-borne AGS satisfies each of these conditions. That's out of PubMed.
That was written by a pair of so-called bioethicists. Not sure how ethics works into their bioethicist background at this point, but that is certainly unethical. They're talking about the coercive introduction of biological alterations into people without their knowledge via vectors from parasitic activity, ticks being parasites in this case, the ones being discussed. Now, they weren't the first to bring this up. I think it was about 8 years ago, and you can find this gentleman online. I believe he was speaking at a forum, either on behalf of his work with the World Economic Forum, or he's himself was integrated with the World Economic Forum, but there is you can easily find him online. I'm not going to be able to pronounce his name. He's Chinese, of Chinese background. Lei Zhu may be his name. Anyway, he was at that point saying, well, sure, we can engineer ticks, and we have this alpha-gal syndrome. We can make it so people are not as likely to eat meat, and we can reduce meat consumption, and we can do that. And this is 8 years ago from the World Economic Forum. Well, what else was the World Economic Forum promoting back then 8 years ago? Well, they were promoting, well, let's eat insects and you'll own nothing and be happy. These are the types of people that have been behind coercive and under the radar manipulation of people's health against their wishes. And it'd be done against their wishes because, of course, people aren't going to react favorably to being told that they shouldn't eat meat any longer, for instance, which is a big part of people's diets and nutrition, and for good reason. And this is part of a long-standing problem in coercive medicine, really, which is tied to vaccines. If you do a lot of research into the history of vaccine development, which I talk about in Endgame in my book that you so often mention on your program, Tamara.
I meant to.
Yeah, if you go into that chapter on some of the vaccine history, you'll find that researchers have coercively used vaccines against people's will over time, repeatedly, and secretly. So this is not a new phenomenon, and there is a trend of using coercive methods and secret methods to impact people's health. And it goes back many decades. It's not new, and we shouldn't be surprised, I don't think, that people of similar mindset continue to advocate similar types of actions today, coercively and covertly.
Yeah, right. Those are two great words to put together, coercively and covertly. And
Yeah.
so the article you sent me was a Substack article, and Brandon has been doing a great job. Is it Nicholas Bersher, keeping him on air, talking about some of this as well. But the article you sent, I had not seen before, talking about our own military doing this.
Yes, that article was from the Chris Newby Substack.
So something to think about. We can talk more about that when we come back from break. We'll be right back after these messages. I am talking with Dennis Buren, just a great resource on, I think, pretty much any topic that's out there. He's already got his fingers in it, and he's already studied it. We'll be right back. Stay tuned with Tamara Scott Show.
I need to tell you about our Bella Grace. The slender little sachet has the elixir with the collagen, astaxanthin, and cat's claw. In 2022, got an award for helping with cognitive function, and in 2023 in the sports arena for active ingredients, nutrition, and format. But the best is what we hear from so many of you. You have noticed better joint health, improved mobility, less eye strain and fatigue, helping with computer vision syndrome, visual acuity, depth perception, alleviating dry eyes, but also helping with your immunity, your stress management, endurance, less fatigue overall, not just eye fatigue, muscle recovery, mental clarity, focus, and gut health. Then there's the fun list. The firmer, smoother skin texture, fewer fine lines and wrinkles, improved skin elasticity, decreased age spots, more even skin tone, improved skin hydration, reduced oxidative stress, healthier nails, less cellulite, hair health, better sleep. Who wouldn't want any of those? Call them beauty in items if you wish, but who doesn't want to feel a little bit better or more confident when you're going to present in the public square, when you're going to speak at a city council? And who just doesn't want to feel a little healthier? Maybe they're just byproducts of being healthier. More information at tamara.bellagraceglobal.com, tamara.bellagraceglobal.com.
3 years ago, the United States was stunned by an announcement from war-torn Korea. U.S. Army Private David Hawkins and 20 other prisoners of the communists had become turncoats. They had renounced their own country and disappeared behind Red China's bamboo curtain.
What had you heard? Well, only what our Chinese captors had told us, how great they were working toward socialism, and the great stride that they were taking, bettering the life of the Chinese people who for so many thousands of years had lived a life of oppression under various governments.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
Take a look at the water you just poured. It looks clean, it tastes fine, but what's really in it? Lead, fluoride, arsenic, chlorine, pesticides, PFAS forever chemicals, pharmaceutical residues, and bacteria. Every single day, these toxins flow straight from your tap into your glass, into your family. It's time for Sentry H2O from Worldview Water. Sentry H2O is the ultimate water treatment technology, designed to remove harmful toxins, balance your water's pH, and enrich it with essential minerals like calcium and magnesium, the way nature intended. From commercial-scale systems to whole-house filtration to crisp, delicious drinking water right at your kitchen sink and shower, Sentry H2O delivers cleaner, healthier water everywhere you need it. No plumber, no tools, no plumbing knowledge required. Perfect for homes, apartments, rentals, RVs, refrigerators, and more. Because everyone deserves access to clean, healthy water. Visit worldviewwater.net. That's worldviewwater.net.
All right, so I didn't have it with me. I thought I had it in a screenshot ready to show, but in game. And you can tell this one's not mine because it's not all marked up. It's one of my extra ones. Mine has all kinds of tabs and marks in it. In game. So guys, this is a great, field guide, handbook of all those things we're talking about that have already been practiced and perfected in other cultures. Like when you're thinking, gosh, would they be doing this to us on purpose? Would they be upset if we actually lost lives? That's the plan. For some of it, that's the plan. So, and I don't have my tinfoil T-Rex. I just left it in the other studio. But all right, more on the ticks. I mean, the Army's been doing this. So are they doing it to us?
Well, it started out with foreign adversaries in mind, in particular Cuba. And I think there's an interesting correlation with what was done in the past, especially with regard to Cuba, and what is being allegedly happening on American rural properties today. And I think you'll find, possibly even Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has mentioned the possibility that people are finding boxes of ticks on their land. Others have talked about it. I think it was on the Rogan program. It's been around quite a bit over the last few weeks. Allegations of finding cardboard boxes full of ticks on rural land. There's videos that you can find on Rumble and other places of people saying, "Look at that helicopter dropping ticks." I've seen a video with a man walking on a property and finding a box and kicking it and saying, "Look at all these ticks coming out of the box." Is that true? Well, right now, we haven't got any documentation that says that is actually happening today on American property. But should we rule it out? And I think past practice says, well, we probably shouldn't rule it out, because in the early 1960s, we did just that over Cuba. We dropped some boxes of ticks on Cuban sugar workers on the basis of that would result in some economic distraction, maybe hardship in Cuba, that would help disrupt the Castro regime there. And the resource to read on this is a journalist by the name of Chris Newby, and her Substack is quite good. Her most recent book, I believe it was 2020 or maybe 2021 that it came out, was titled Bitten. She gets into all the details, covers all the facts, has a lot of documentation, much of which you can read on her Substack. And what all of it boils down to is the fact that tick research as a vector for spreading disease has actually been something we have experimented with in our military, in our secret apparatuses, and under the radar, unbeknownst to many people. And she makes the case that Lyme disease has come from that other diseases have come from that experimentation with released ticks for experimentation purposes on the East Coast took part in, perhaps accidentally, but took place in a flyway where migratory birds travel up and down the East Coast, that led to the rapid spread of tick-borne diseases on the East Coast. Now, where are these tick-borne diseases elsewise happening? They're happening throughout the Midwest. Where is the greatest flyway in North America? Through the Midwest. Migratory birds are in huge numbers, spring and fall, travel through the Midwestern part of the United States, up the Mississippi Flyway, stopping along the Mississippi River, stopping at all the great marshes in all the states that border the Mississippi River, especially on the eastern side of the Mississippi River, as they migrate north and south. This allows for the rapid transportation of ticks and tick-borne illnesses via migratory bird species. So that's one way in which this type of thing spreads. And when we accidentally have lab releases, as I think Chris Newby documents in her book, and these ticks get into the avian flyways, you can suddenly get a great deal of spread. That's not the only environmental factor that is playing a role in the spread of these ticks. But it's one key one. The other environmental factor is what most environmentalists would not want you to know, which is that our forest cover has been rapidly expanding, but not only rapidly expanding, but changing, creating better conditions for tick habitat. And this is not because of global warming, which is alleged. If you look into this from the mainstream media side of things, they'll say, well, global warming is making tick habitat more friendly, and so ticks are moving around because of global warming. That's not actually what's happening. What's happening is we've changed our forest ecosystems quite a bit, and that's creating conditions in these changed forest ecosystems, which are also expanding. We've added millions of new acres of forest land in the United States over the past 25 years, which is something most people don't know. But a lot of that is new types of growth that creates an understory that creates a condition that ticks really enjoy, which is more soil moisture among fallen leaves, and tick populations can do very well under those conditions. So between these factors, we have tick spread, and we have the introduction of tick-borne illnesses in ways that were, experimented with by government research programs dating back to the 1950s and even earlier in some cases. And all of that is igniting what looks to be a perfect storm of tick outbreak this year. Probably not going to be the last one, only going to get worse, in my opinion, over coming years, depending on what happens with the weather. But we've not seen the end of this, and people need to be aware of it, because tick illnesses are extremely dangerous, debilitating even at their best, and deadly at their worst, and millions of people are affected.
Serious. I mean, if you know someone who has fought Lyme disease, it has been debilitating for in a variety of ways, and without treatments that really could help. So this is something. All right. So I'm going to early this year in Iowa, we've seen ticks forever, right? But early in Iowa, we had ticks. They don't usually come until May, until after the frost. They were here in February. We were pulling them off the dog.
Yeah.
This is not normal. And yes, we had a warmer spring, but February was not that warmer spring. So we're not sure what's been going on. If you say that they haven't dropped the box here, okay, I believe you. I don't believe Bill Gates, and I don't believe the government anymore, but I'll believe you, Dennis. So, but something's going on, because either they're already engineered to be hardier during cold weather and frost,
Well, you have better conditions for ticks, especially in Iowa, especially through the southern half of Iowa. Much of Iowa used to be what is known as a forest type called oak hickory savanna. And an oak hickory savanna, as it was throughout most of its range, including southern Iowa, which is half your state, by the way, that type of environment is not conducive to tick populations because oak and hickory leaves are very dry. They do not really absorb moisture. They tend to keep soil moisture low, and the high story that oak and hickory creates over the savanna is not really conducive to the thick, hot, humid understory that ticks require. Now, with that changing, and it's changing because forest management practices have changed. I don't know how many wildfires you have in the oak hickory savanna regions there any longer, but those have largely gone away because we've eliminated forest fire as an environmental factor because it's really not conducive to human dwellings and human safety in a lot of cases. But forest fire was endemic as an environmental factor in oak hickory savanna. So between the soil types, the vegetation types, and the fact that oak and hickory do well in fire-prone areas, that eliminates tick habitat almost entirely and keeps tick populations low. With that change and with the change in the types of plants that are growing in what was previously the range of oak hickory savanna, it's made tick environment very, very friendly to tick overpopulation and explosion. And that is not a trend that's going to be reversed anytime soon. That's just one forest type that's changing, but here, even in the northern part of the upper Great Lakes, here by Lake Superior and whatnot, we've changed our forest type here too, and we've always had ticks, but we've had tick explosions here in recent years that are, parallel to what you're experiencing, also because of some of these understory growth changes. In the upper Midwest, we lost, for instance, the great pineries, the great white pine forest that was here, and it's been replaced by a forest that now includes a lot more maple, a lot more deciduous trees that create a leaf clutter on the ground that keeps soil moisture intact. Again, very much like oak hickory savanna, the great white pine regions had low soil moisture, very acidic soil, not conducive to tick populations. What's changed in the loss of that habitat and the regrowth of a new kind of forest is a much happier place for ticks to live and thrive, which just allows these tick-borne diseases, which through our own activity and research, we have helped spread among the tick population. We've always had ticks. They didn't always spread these deadly diseases. Lyme's disease was unknown in the upper Midwest in the 1980s and before. Now it's endemic everywhere.
So to our viewers, there are things you can do. I mean, when having your head covered, having long sleeves on, although some of my family say they want to feel it crawling on their skin. I didn't always feel that, but some people do. And where I have long hair, a hat is a good idea for me. Also, there's essential oils that you can put on, natural essential oils that will detour or repel ticks. So I will put some of those on the Tamara Scott Show Facebook page for you, and you can decide for yourself what you think is best for your family. I'm not into some of these bug sprays that I think have dangerous chemicals in them, but some of the healthier natural ones we'll put on for you. I think at this time, we're going to go ahead and go to break. When we come back, then you can pick between murder trials and data centers and sucking the blood out of communities or the blood of a murder trial. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Dennis Bierman is my guest.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Is the government tracking you? Do they have access to all your data? Well, if you go to worldviewtalk.com, you'll find out about a cell phone company that does not store your data. They don't do that. This is what they're known for. They don't store your data. You have privacy. You're not being tracked. That's why a lot of folks are turning to worldviewtalk.com. You'll find their prices are very competitive. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com. Again, worldviewtalk.com. Oh, while you're there, not only do they have cell phones that aren't tracking you, you can find out about how to get a satellite phone. Should the whole system go down and you want to communicate with a family member or a loved one, you might want to have a satellite phone. Or how about their solar generators? They have great solar generators. Check them all out right now. Worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We're back with the Tamara Scott Show. Dennis Bierman is my guest today. And I've always told you the conversations we have between the breaks are sometimes the most fun, but you don't get those. All right. So Dennis,
Yes.
Where would you like to go? Murder trials or data centers? Both?
both pretty significant stories. The murder trials, I think, may be more significant momentarily because I think we have some violence taking place across the ocean, across the Atlantic in the UK as a result of some of the things that have been happening there. And we're always close to seeing that happen here and in Texas just this week with the verdict that came down in the Carmelo Anthony case, which, a shocking murder that has led to, I think, shocking responses from some parts of our left-wing political infrastructure here in this country.
So I have to tell you, I have not followed that one as well. And of course, when anybody loses their life, it's a tragedy. Thomas, we do have some links sent to you, and there's just several that you sent to me, Dennis. So if we want to put those up, we can, and just kind of quickly go through them. But the Carmelo Anthony one, just briefly take us through that one in Texas.
Yeah, Carmelo Anthony was a high school athlete, a track athlete, I believe. I'm not sure if he was in other sports. Another athlete involved in this case, unfortunately, the young man who lost his life was Austin Metcalf, and his brother was on the scene when this happened. And this was at a track and field event for high school track and field athletes in Texas. About 2 years ago, I believe, was when this happened. And for whatever reason, Carmelo decided he wanted to visit the tent for the team that Austin Metcalf was a part of. This was not Carmelo Anthony's team tent. It wasn't a place he was supposed to be. According to witnesses, he antagonized the team that Austin Metcalf was a part of. Austin Metcalf was the student who stood up for his team in that case and asked Carmelo Anthony to leave. Carmelo Anthony claims that eventually he was shoved by Austin Metcalf, and in response to that shove, he pulled out a knife, meaning Carmelo Anthony pulled out a 4-inch blade and plunged it into the chest of the young man, the 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, who died minutes later in the arms of a coach. At that track and field event. So this is at a high school track and field event where obviously I don't think, even going back to my days as a student athlete, I didn't bring any weaponry with me to track and field events that I was a part of, or to football games I was a part of, nor did I know any other students who did that. I don't think that's a common practice, but in this case, it seems as if my interpretation is that Carmelo Anthony was there looking for a fight, and he found one, and he killed a young man, and he was found guilty, which is not surprising because this was entirely witnessed by many dozens of people who were on the scene. There was really no question as to what took place, so any other result than a conviction in this case would have been a travesty of justice, obviously based on the many witnesses who saw what happened. Including Austin Metcalf's twin brother, who was on the scene and saw this happen and saw his brother expire. As a result of the verdict coming down this week, the political left, the New Black Panthers, many other partisans who have been racially inflamed, even some of our celebrities, and I'm not a rap music aficionado, but I understand there's a celebrity by the name of Cardi B who's very well known. These people have all been, saying that this is an injustice, that Carmelo Anthony should not have been convicted. Court TV apparently went off the rails over the injustice of a conviction in this case. And what they seem to be calling for is a two-tier justice system where it's okay to kill people, attack people, and kill people if they fall into a certain class, as long as the perpetrators of the crime are another class of people. And this, I think, goes right into woke ideology, and it goes right into the communist playbook of trying to pit different people based on categorization, artificial categorization of people against each other to create potential for violence that then the state can come in and, or partisans who wish to take over the levers of power in the state can come in and use those events, those tragedies that they've engendered and worked up to benefit themselves. And you're seeing this most dramatically across the Atlantic in the UK, where these events that we've seen here, whether it's Irina Zarushka last year, Austin Metcalf, similar events that have taken place, have been even worse in the UK. In December, which we didn't even hear about here until the trial for the killer, the accused killer in this case. In December in the UK, a young man was assaulted and killed by a 23-year-old Sikh man. Again, a dagger plunged into this young man several times. The police were called by the attacker in this case, I believe. When the police arrived on scene, they believed the attacker's claims that the young victim was a racist, and therefore, as the young victim was bleeding out on the pavement, they arrested the victim and would not believe that he had been stabbed. He died with handcuffs on him. The attacker was not arrested at the time. He was later arrested, but he was never even put in handcuffs. So in the UK then, they've taken it even a step further where they don't even believe the victim who's dying right in front of their eyes. And we just had this really horrendous attack in Belfast just, was it 48 hours ago, I believe?
And we haven't, I think we have, that's one of the links, Thomas. We have links on all of these if you want to put them up, but I think this one is link 5. Is this the one you're talking about? This protest breakout after the Belfast street stabbing?
Yeah, that street stabbing is really egregious. It appears that a Somalian immigrant, maybe he was Sudanese. It's unclear at this point whether he was Somalian or Sudanese, but this asylum seeker held down a man on the pavement and attempted to decapitate him with a knife in front of onlookers. Fortunately, as far as I know at this point, the victim is still fighting for his life in a hospital. Miraculously, we don't know very much about the details of what's happening there or what was behind that initial attack, what may have caused it, or what. There's been no reporting that I've seen that really gets into the behind the scenes of why did this attack take place. The fact is the attack did take place, and downstream of it now, riots are very much kicking off throughout Northern Ireland.
Okay, so why the riots? It was the Somali killed who?
An Irishman, as far as we know.
The Somali allegedly killed an Irishman. That's what we'll say. And who is starting the riots? The Irish or
yes. Apparently
because they've had enough. Because they've had enough.
That's correct, yeah.
Things have been at the boiling point for a while over there.
It's been for a while, and there's been a pretty clear two-tier justice system, and that, I think, is not accidental. I think this is a case where it's an attempt to consolidate power against the unprotected class by using another class against them. So it's creating an artificial tension where there doesn't need to be any in order to create a place where power can come in and consolidate power. It's an old communist playbook technique. We saw this take place in our own civil rights era here in the U.S. in the 1960s, late 50s, 1960s, and we're seeing it now in its most virulent form in Europe, where it's happened frequently in some of the Nordic countries, it's happened in France, and it's really, really happening now in its most virulent form in the UK.
This is tragic, absolutely tragic. All right. And again, back to the Texas case. I see the young man that supposedly did this crime. And as you say, there were several witnesses. And it's heartbreaking because it's a young man.
Yep.
Got his life ahead of him. But as you say, there were witnesses. He was in the tent. He didn't have to go into the tent. He went into the tent to antagonize, to harass, whatever. This victim stood up and maybe did push him, maybe did shove him, but that doesn't justify being stabbed. And
Right.
as you say, having a knife with you at a sporting event, especially if you're an athlete, that seems particularly odd to me. All right. Want to go to data centers?
Yeah, data centers are the next big thing in the news, and they're really affecting a lot of people in a lot of ways, for sure. And I was particularly interested to see here in part of Wisconsin one example, and this is by the city of Port Washington, where I believe it's a 640-acre data center. I mean, you can imagine these are enormous facilities. One that I know of that's been covered in the press, but he's probably not the only one. I think he's just the example. A man who lives on 52 acres that he's lived there for decades. They're looking to use eminent domain to seize portions of his land to run power lines, 300-foot tall power lines, to power the data center that is, as far as I know, going to be built on 640 acres in that area. So eminent domain being used to take people's land and property to fund some other person's, other corporate interests property seems to be an injustice on its face. Eminent domain should be used sparingly, and when it is used, should be for the public good. At least under normal eminent domain doctrine in this country, eminent domain now is being used as a weapon against private property, and that's what's happening here. That's something we need to be aware of with data centers, among their other many deleterious problems.
Gosh. Again, sucking the lifeblood out of a community, whether it's draining the water resources or straining the electric grid. Thomas, do you have the video that I sent to you on the KCCI water? Now, Dennis, we've had 4 inches, 3.75 inches last Thursday night.
Wow.
The week and a half before that, we had 2 inches. Then we had another 2 inches. So that's around 8 inches in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Thomas, do you have this clip? Let's start it and play. I want to play the beginning of it, kind of give people a chance where they're at. And 109 is kind of the important part, but let's go ahead and start it.
Iowa Waterworks service area, with limited exceptions for newly installed sod or seed. We are also asking customers to eliminate all unnecessary outdoor water use. I'd now like to invite Amy Kaler, CEO and General Manager of Des Moines Waterworks, to provide an update on the operational measures currently underway.
Okay, let's stop right there. So did we start at 109 with the effective immediately? All right, and then let's jump up to 935. 935.
In Des Moines, our enforcement is that if a report comes in that someone is watering their lawn and they have not laid new sod or they haven't seeded, again, those are allowed, those activities, we will hang a tag at the property. We'll try calling, we'll try to get a hold of the customer in a number of ways. If the lawn watering has still gone on for 2 days beyond that, then we will terminate water service or turn the water off to the home, to the property. So it's, something that it's really important to heed this and to make sure that if you do get called, then you turn your irrigation system off or your lawn watering system. We do have a email for customers who want to report irrigation, and it is report@dmww.com.
All right, let's shut it off. So this is my area.
Yep.
We have a data center proposed. No one knew about it. It's closer to my house than I thought. No one heard about it till it was supposedly a done deal. We have a Facebook page that's supposedly not run by the city, but if you put anything on it about that a data center that's not flattering, it disappears within an hour, I'm told. And we are getting, I'm personally getting heat because we're talking about this. So all of a sudden, we had rationing apparently last year, not rationing, but warnings because of nitrates. They're saying this is because of nitrates, but if you heard them, Dennis, it was about usage, demand, usage. And even if it's nitrates, maybe you can help me out here. I have seen where they said if it's the water coolant contaminates, it has more nitrates in it on the data center, and they talk about a closed loop system, but even that has to be drained occasionally, and that contaminated water will raise the nitrate level in your area. So if we're already high on nitrates, and that's what this is supposedly about, why would we add to, if you've got a fire going, you want to put it out, why do you put gasoline on it?
Yeah, that's not something else seems to be going on there. I think it's probably not about nitrates. Just listening to those clips, it makes it sound like there's pressure on the underground water resources on the aquifer. There's probably significant pressure on that resource because of the growth of population and the use of agricultural water, all of which would be supportable under normal circumstances. But if you're talking about bringing in an enormous new water user, that's going to put incredible amounts of new pressure on water resources and infrastructures, including, as you point out, the potential and likelihood of actually pollution being released during some operations of the data center, because you can't just use fresh water for coolant. That tends to lead to things called corrosion. So there are anti-corrosion inhibitors that are included in coolant water. Those types of things, will they be flushed out? Will they be captured? Will they be released into the environment? Likely that will not be 100% sealed. So you're going to have increased water draw from the aquifer, almost certainly. You're going to have increased releases of treated water that are not necessarily environmentally neutral. And that's going to pressure agriculture, and it's going to pressure homeowners and other businesses in that region. And if you think you're only going to get one data center, I think that's just, that first data center is just the door being broken open, and much more will be coming.
And we're not the first. We have one that came in over by Council Bluffs, which oddly enough, they've been talking about drought for the last year. Who knew? So we've got another one over in Lynn County being proposed. And I mean, we've talked about the numbers to our viewers. They say we've got to beat China in the AI war, but America has over 4,000 more being built and China has 400. So I'd say we won that war.
I think the propaganda about China is a lot like the propaganda about the Soviet Union back in the 1940s and 50s, where it was often used by propaganda efforts in the U.S. to scare Americans into thinking that the Soviet Union was far more powerful than it really was. A lie which was exposed by Ronald Reagan's administration. When the Reagan administration called the bluff on all of that propaganda in the mainstream media and said, no, they're not more powerful than the U.S. and we can drive them out. And Reagan's administration did do that very same thing. I think we see that level of propaganda about China's economy, and especially about China's AI aspirations as well. They are not nearly as powerful economically as we are led to believe. But by using that to scare us, we can be scared into accepting things that otherwise we might not wish to accept, such as the fact that we're going to lose the AI race. We're not going to lose the AI race. Anyone who even looks even remotely close at what's going on with AI knows that it's America or nothing when it comes to AI. All of the AI that makes a difference is American in origin, all of it. So there's a little bit from Tencent, and there's a little bit from DeepSeek. That's a tiny fraction of what's taking place in the AI development sphere. Almost all of it's American. So don't believe the Chinese hype. It's not there.
Interesting. All right. Now, I will say that when we talk about the battery, what is it? Electric storage. How is it? Battery, electric, I can't remember. BESS, BESS. And some of the components on some of the transformers, I think we do need to have concern there. Remotely controlled components from companies or that are affiliated or tied to the CCP. I think that way you need to show prudence. But all right. Anything else on this particular topic?
Well, I think that secrecy has been a big problem with regard to data center rollout. And they, the people involved with industry and in the data center side of things have been taking very big pains to make sure communities affected by it, that the people there don't know what's happening. So it's really important for good citizenship in this case. If you're living in an area, and in this case it's all over the Midwest, so yes, you are living in that area, make sure that you engage with your local officials to keep their feet to the fire so you know what's going to take place in ways that's going to impact your life and your livelihood in your local area, because the AI data centers are coming for you, and the Midwest is a good place, if you will, from the point of view of AI infrastructure to put it, because we have cold winters, and cold winters help cool these things. And so targeting the Midwest with our huge Great Lakes, with our relatively good groundwater situation and our cold winters, we're going to see a lot of data center development efforts put into our region.
Absolutely. And Thomas, I don't know if I sent them to you yesterday or not, but when you talked about the secrecy, so many communities using NDAs, and I've asked some attorneys about this, because if you're elected, my viewers have probably heard me ask this a lot. If you're elected to represent people, the very people who elect you, and you're hiding secrets from them, to me, there's a constitutional issue there. It's a constitutional oath that you're taking to the Constitution. But I think we all understand it's for the people in which you're supposed to be upholding that oath. And when you're hiding information for them from a corporate dealer over a deal, first we heard no NDAs, we've heard none of the secrets, and what the headline, the headline right there. Thank you for putting that up, Thomas. So Microsoft announced that they will nix their NDAs. If they've got them, they will cancel them, and they won't use any more NDAs in these types of situations. Now, here's what else I read on that, is that they still tried to kill a bill that would have stopped anybody from using them. So they're not opposed to it. They're maybe just doing a little PR repair.
Sounds like public relations to me.
Right? But we have several communities where that's been an issue, and people are coming together. It's frankly fomenting the fight for us. Tom DeWeese from the American Policy Center said he has not seen a more organic, fast-growing, large movement than what he's seeing on the data centers. 70% of Americans do not want the data centers. Monterey, California just voted, I think, in their primary against, I think it was against a data center, 86%.
Great.
When you can get the Looney Tunes in California to agree, 86%.
That's astonishing. And homeowners and landowners, small scale people who have to negotiate red tape in their cities or in their counties. Let's contrast that to data centers just for a second, because let's say you own 5 acres and you want to build a 16 by 16 shed on your 5 acres. You're going to have to jump through all kinds of hoops to get permission to do that. As if you're doing your own data center. You're just building a 16 by 16 shed. It shouldn't even be a question. Go ahead, put it up. It's your land. But no, the community is going to want to say yay or nay to that, and you're going to have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops. That doesn't seem to be anywhere near like what's happening with regard to data centers, which are like, if the community officials behind the scenes can grease the skids for that, then let's get that in place. Meanwhile, they're cracking down on the average homeowner who just wants a shed. This is patently unfair and should be called out by everyone who is dealing with this across the country right now.
It's a great point. And that reminds me of the electric too, because these data centers, we're told, are going to get a rate. They're going to get a special rate legislatively, so it's in code, but the homeowners don't. So when the strain starts to happen and the demand and supply, the homeowners get the up in the rate increase, not the data center. That's the other issue on this.
Yeah. And that rate increase comes along with the probability, at least the possibility, of rolling brownouts and blackouts, because the grid is not engineered to handle this level of rapid expansion and power delivery at this point. And that gets back to the eminent domain and the need to put these 300-foot power towers across this poor landowner's land against his will, on land he's owned for decades. And that's going to become an increasing trend as well, unfortunately.
And we keep asking, why do we have to put them on our prize farmland land in the Midwest? The great production acres. Why? China, that only has 400, at least has figured out to go vertical. I just keep asking, why don't we put them in an inner city where they need some refurbishing, some renovation? Why don't they go up like a skyscraper rather than across all these acres of land?
Yeah.
Good questions. Dennis, we are out of time. Always a joy when we get to have you on the show. I always appreciate getting to talk with you. We could talk about 1,000 things over 1,000 hours and still learn. I appreciate it. The website, tell her, is at American Daily Journal?
AmericanDailyHerald.com.
AmericanDailyHerald.com. More coming there as the election next year, the presidential, comes closer. So thank you so much, Dennis Bierman, for being my guest today, for bringing us topics that we all hear about. We all know something's up, but unless you bring us the facts, then we can't say, yes, it is. It's not a conspiracy. Here's the truth. All right. So thank you so much to everybody out there. We tell you, live boldly, live boldly, laugh bigger, love better, be encouraged, and never be complacent.